Have you ever wondered why you stay stuck in a relationship that hurts you? Deep down, you know you're unhappy. You know this relationship drains your energy. You know the other person is never going to change. And yet, you stay. Maybe you've tried to leave before. Maybe you even promised yourself that this time would be different. But somehow, you keep going back. Why? Why isn't the suffering enough to push you away? Here's the hard truth. The answer isn't in the other person. It's not because they manipulated you so skillfully that you lost all power to decide. It's not because you love them so much you can't let go. And it's definitely not because things were good once and you're hoping they might be good again. No. The truth is, the problem is inside you. It's about what this relationship woke up in you, what it reinforced, what it activated. Toxic relationships aren't just about endless fights, lies, or manipulation. They are rooted in unconscious patterns, old wounds that never healed, fears of being alone, a desperate need for validation, and a vicious cycle of confusion mixed with hope. You're not trapped by the other person. You're trapped by what this relationship makes you feel. And that's exactly why simply ending it isn't enough. You might manage to physically distance yourself, but there's still something inside you that keeps pulling you back. You'll replay the good moments. You'll justify the bad ones. You'll wonder, should I give it one more try? Because the real problem isn't only the relationship. It's the psychological bond that was created. A bond so powerful that it messes with your perception, makes you accept things you swore you'd never tolerate. But you need to hear this. Enough is enough. I'm not here to make you feel guilty or to say you're weak or have no willpower. No, I'm here to help you understand what's actually happening. Because when you understand, you get back your power. And when you regain that control, you can truly break free. So if you feel stuck, if there's a part of you that can't leave, even though you know you should, keep watching. This is for you. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this cycle keeps repeating, and more importantly, you'll know how to break it.
So, let's dive in. Why do some people keep falling into toxic relationships while others seem to leave and never look back? It all comes down to how we learn to love. Love doesn't just magically happen. It's shaped, conditioned, built, often from a very young age. From the moment we're born, we crave connection. As babies, our brains are wired to link safety and well-being with how we receive love and affection. If we grow up in a family where love and care are consistent and healthy, we learn that relationships are safe, that people can be trusted. But if love comes with rejection, coldness, inconsistency, or even abuse, then we learn something very different, that love is unstable, unpredictable, that you have to fight to deserve it. And that, right there, is the seed of the problem. If you grew up in a world where love and pain walked hand in hand, your brain internalized that dynamic. So later, when you meet someone who treats you with stable, steady kindness, you might actually feel bored. It can feel fake.
But when you meet someone who gives you affection in tiny, controlled doses, someone who makes you feel amazing one day and invisible the next, that chaotic pattern feels familiar. Your brain recognizes it as love. That's the dangerous emotional trap. You're not just in love with this person, you're attached to what they represent. They awaken something very old inside you, that old unconscious drive to prove, this time I'll be enough. This time love will conquer. This time rejection will turn into acceptance. And this brings us to one of the biggest reasons leaving is so unbelievably hard, the fear of loss. When your attachment is built on unpredictability, the idea of losing this person feels like too much to handle. It's not necessarily because you can't survive without them. It's because you feel you must finish the story, prove you can make it work, convince them to give you the love you've been starving for your whole life.
But listen closely. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. This relationship is not some test of your worth. The problem isn't you, and the solution doesn't lie with them. So what exactly keeps you stuck in this toxic pattern? There's a powerful psychological mechanism at play, and it works just like an addiction. It makes the pain in the relationship feel, in a twisted way, rewarding. That mechanism is called intermittent reinforcement. Have you noticed that no matter how awful this relationship feels, there are moments where everything seems perfect? Those random moments when the other person becomes exactly who you wished they'd be. It's like a glimpse of heaven. You hang on to those moments, replaying them in your head, telling yourself that is the real relationship, and all the bad parts are just temporary obstacles you can fix. But that's not love. That's addiction. And the fuel behind this addiction is that powerful phenomenon, intermittent reinforcement. It comes from experiments by B.F. Skinner, who studied conditioning behavior in animals. In one famous study, scientists gave food to rats, but not every time they pressed a lever, only occasionally, with no clear pattern. And guess what happened? The rats became obsessed. They pressed the lever over and over, unable to stop, desperate for the next reward.
Now switch out the rats for human beings and the lever for your relationship, and it works exactly the same way. If the other person was terrible to you all the time, leaving them would be easy. But they mix in just enough sweetness, just enough tenderness, just enough false hope that you keep coming back for more, always hoping for the next reward. And the cruelest part? Intermittent reinforcement actually changes your standards over time. At the beginning, you might have demanded respect, honesty, stability, but after so many ups and downs, you start to accept crumbs just because you're starving to feel good again. You convince yourself if you just wait a little longer, if you work a little harder, if you change something about yourself, then maybe the other person will finally turn back into the sweet version you met at the beginning. But that is the trap. This relationship was never really about love. It was about control. And the toxic person, whether they realize it or not, figured out how to keep you stuck. They don't need to love you constantly. They just need to give you the right amount of affection in between cruelty. Just enough to keep you hooked.
That's exactly why leaving hurts so much. Because it's not only the end of the relationship, it's the end of hope, the end of the fantasy that one day they'll change, the end of believing that if you just love them enough, you can fix them. Accepting that truth is painful, but it's also absolutely necessary. Because as long as you stay in this game, your sense of self will keep breaking down. Over time, you start doubting what you deserve. You lower your standards. You accept less. And you slowly become less. Worse still, a toxic partner often makes you believe that all of this is somehow your fault, that you're exaggerating, that you're the problem, that maybe you're even imagining things. If you've ever found yourself asking questions like, "Am I going crazy? Am I overreacting? Is it really that bad?" Then you've already felt the effects of psychological manipulation.
One of the most dangerous forms of manipulation is something called gaslighting. Gaslighting is when someone twists reality so much that you begin to question your own memories, your own feelings, and even your sanity. It's an incredibly powerful control tactic because it puts you in a constant state of self-doubt, which makes it nearly impossible to see the abuse clearly, let alone escape from it.
It usually happens like this. You notice something is off in the relationship. Maybe a lie, maybe a contradiction, maybe something that doesn't add up, and you bring it up. Instead of owning up, the other person flips the script. They accuse you of being paranoid, oversensitive, imagining things. They say things like, "Wow, you always misunderstand everything. You're so dramatic. That never even happened." At first, you might still trust your own memory, but after hearing those lines over and over, you start to wonder if maybe you really are making things up. You start replaying conversations in your head, second-guessing your own perception, looking for proof to validate what you feel. But with each confrontation, the manipulation gets stronger. What once felt obvious now feels uncertain. And the more you doubt yourself, the more you depend on them to tell you what's real.
Gaslighting is one of their weapons. Another one is projection. That's when someone takes their own behavior and throws it on you. If they lie, they accuse you of lying. If they cheat, they accuse you of being unfaithful. If they explode in anger, they say it's because you provoked them. This is a way for them to dodge responsibility, but also to keep you on the defensive, emotionally drained, so you're easier to control. Because when your confidence is shattered and your self-esteem is at its lowest, you start accepting even tiny crumbs of affection as a reward. When your view of reality is so twisted, you stop trusting yourself and you start trusting them instead.
And that leads to an even deeper question. If all this is so clear, why do you still stay? Why is the fear of leaving so strong, even when you know this relationship is destroying you? The answer is rooted in one of the most powerful forces that keep people stuck in toxic love: the fear of loneliness, mixed with the illusion that love can change someone. Have you ever thought, what if I never find someone else? What if no one will ever love me like this again? Or maybe, if I just try a little harder, maybe things will finally change. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. It's one of the biggest reasons people stay trapped. The fear of being alone isn't some silly, shallow fear. It's deeply wired into our brains from childhood. We grow up being told that being single is a failure, that being loved is the ultimate goal, that being alone means there's something wrong with you. Society repeats that message in movies, music, social media, over and over.
Now add to that a relationship that has already crushed your self-esteem. A relationship that conditioned you to think that no one else could ever accept you. No one else could ever get you the way this person does. Put those two together and you convince yourself it's better to stay in something harmful than to risk being alone. But I want you to consider something. What you're feeling isn't actually fear of loneliness, it's emotional withdrawal. A toxic relationship creates a dependency that feels exactly like an addiction. You're not just attached to the person, you're attached to the hope they represent. You remember the amazing moments at the beginning, the sweet words, the passion, the dreams. You think, if I just hold on a little longer, that person will come back. You replay the good times over and over, explaining away the bad moments as just temporary phases. You hang on to their promises even when their actions say something completely different. That's not love. That's an illusion. The illusion that your love will fix them, that your loyalty will make them change. But here's the truth. Real change does not happen because you love someone enough or because you sacrifice everything. It only happens if that person sees their problem and wants to change, truly and deeply. And be honest, how many times has this person promised to change? How many times have you heard, "I'm sorry, I'll do better"? If nothing changes after all those chances, it's because it was never going to. Accepting that is painful. It feels like a heartbreak because it means giving up hope. It means facing the emptiness left behind after investing so much time, energy, and love. It feels like a failure, like all of that was wasted. But that pain, it's temporary. The pain of staying in a toxic relationship, that is forever.
And here's something important. Leaving a toxic relationship isn't just about making a decision to leave. If it were that easy, you would have done it already. To truly leave, you need to break the psychological bond. You need to reprogram your brain. You need to rebuild your identity. That takes a real process, almost like an emotional detox. Because this relationship worked just like a drug. Every random bit of affection was like a hit. Every tiny moment of hope was like a fix. And now, just like any other addiction, you need to go through withdrawal to break free. So, how do you do that? How do you actually break this bond that feels unbreakable? Step 1, cut off all contact. No messages, no calls, no "let's stay friends," nothing. Any contact will reactivate the addiction and pull you right back into the cycle. And I know what you might be thinking. But what if they finally realize what they lost? What if they change? Let me be completely honest with you. If they were capable of change, they would have changed already. If they truly valued you, they would never have pushed you to this breaking point in the first place. What they feel when you leave is usually not regret. It's fear of losing their power over you. And maybe you're still thinking, but I just want closure. Here's the truth about closure. You don't actually need it. You already know everything you need to know. What you're really looking for is one more reason to stay. One more little bit of hope to hold on to. Closure, in these cases, is usually just an excuse to prolong the cycle. So cut it. Cut everything. Block them on your phone. Remove them from your social media. Don't check on them. Don't let them check on you. Don't accept crumbs. And prepare yourself, because once you do this, you will feel the emotional withdrawal. Step 2. Endure the withdrawal without relapsing. In the first few days, you will feel empty. Your brain has been conditioned to crave this person, to associate them with a feeling of being complete. Their absence will seem unbearable at first, but what you're feeling is not longing, it's withdrawal. During this phase, your brain will try to trick you. It will highlight every good moment you had with them and conveniently forget the suffering. You'll start wondering, maybe I was too harsh? Maybe I overreacted. That's not the truth. That's your addiction speaking. The best way to get through this stage is to replace the old pattern with something new. Fill your time. Get into a new routine. Go for a walk. Hit the gym. Read. Connect with friends who make you feel strong and loved. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth. And here's a powerful tool. Write down every single thing this person did to hurt you. Every betrayal, every insult,
every lie. Keep that list close. Every time you feel tempted to go back, read it. Let it remind you of the reality, not the fantasy.
Step 3. Rebuild your identity. Toxic relationships don't just break your heart, they break down who you believe you are. You start seeing yourself through their twisted perspective. You start believing you're not enough, that you're unlovable, that you have to change to be accepted. Now is the time to reprogram those beliefs. Ask yourself, who was I before this relationship? What made me laugh? What dreams did I have? What parts of me did I abandon to try to please them? Rediscover those parts of you. Reconnect with your own voice, your own dreams, your own power. Remember that you do not need a relationship to be whole. That is a lie society profits from. The truth is, the love that really heals, the only love that guarantees you won't repeat this pattern, is the love you build for yourself.
Because leaving a toxic relationship isn't the end. It's actually the beginning of something so much greater. It is the start of a new life, one where you put yourself first. There will come a moment when you have to make a choice. Keep destroying yourself for a love that was never real, or finally choose yourself. And let's be real, the doubts will still come. You'll have moments where that voice inside whispers, what if I made a mistake? What if they really do change? What if no one else ever loves me like this? But that voice isn't yours. That voice was planted over time, strengthened by every crumb of affection you learned to accept, by every manipulation that broke your confidence, by every time you put your own happiness second to keep someone else comfortable. Now you see the truth. You understand what was happening, and that gives you back your power. No one is going to save you. No magical sign will appear. No divine intervention will swoop in to break this cycle. It has to be you who decides to break it.
Because if you don't, if you keep ignoring the signs, this pattern will keep repeating until there is nothing left of you. That is the harsh reality of staying in a toxic relationship. You eventually lose yourself so completely, you no longer know what you like, what you want, who you even are. You shrink yourself down until you become a background character in someone else's life. But here's the incredible part. The second you finally decide to put yourself first, truly first, everything changes. At first, it will be the hardest thing you've ever done. The first days will be brutal. You will miss them. You will doubt yourself. You might even cry for hours. But over time, something amazing happens. The fog will start to lift. You will see more clearly. You'll remember who you were before this relationship. You'll realize that what you thought was love wasn't love at all. And then, one day, without warning, you'll wake up and feel free. That moment is worth every tear, every hard night, every single painful step.
So I want you to choose, right now. Choose to leave. Choose to break the cycle. Choose to rebuild. Choose to finally, fully love yourself. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. If you've watched this far, I'd love to hear from you. What part of this message hit you the hardest? What moment made you realize something you hadn't seen before? Share it in the comments, because your story can help someone else who is fighting the same battle you've been through. And if you're serious about healing, don't stop now. Keep watching. The next video will guide you even deeper into recovering your strength and breaking free for good. Trust me, you've come this far, you owe it to yourself to keep
going.